What's up YouTube? My name is Drewxcifer. Welcome to today's video. In today's video we are back with another camera deathmatch video. We are pitting two iPhones against each other, and in today's video we are talking about the camera features of the iPhone Pro 13 versus the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Both of these are great camera systems, both of these are great smartphones, but the results may surprise you on how different they can be. So we did a unboxing video of this guy here, so if you're interested in that, follow this card up top, as well as a reaction video to the release of the iPhone 13 Pro. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is my daily driver, and I absolutely love this phone, but I decided to get my hands on this one and give it a go, and I decided I wanted something a little bit different than the size of this one, so I went for the smaller 13 Pro, even though I normally prefer a larger phone. So we're seeing how that's working out and seeing how I like that in terms of daily carry. But enough of that, we're talking about the cameras. So let's hop over here. Let's go over some of the specifications first of the cameras here before we actually jump into a head-to-head comparison, because we're going to bring all our photos that we shot in Lightroom. I rigged them up on the same rig, shot the same photos, and we're going to go over both to see if the difference in the cameras and the photo quality is worth upgrading from the 12 Pro Max to the 13 Pro. So here we go, guys. So this is straight on Apple's website. Over here on the left column you have the iPhone 12 Pro Max, in the middle you have the 13 Pro, and on the far right you have the 13 Pro Max, which we're not going to worry about the 13 Pro Max because I don't have that in hand. So we're just going to be looking at these two here. So both of these cameras have the same Pro 12 megapixel camera system. They have telephoto, wide, and ultra wide lenses on them. You can see the three lenses on the back here, guys. The telephoto, the wide, and ultra wide, though, they have different f-stops. They have a different aperture on each one. So the 12 Pro Max has a 2.2 aperture to where the 13 Pro has a 2.8. Now that is a very small difference when it comes to camera phones. Maybe on your DSLR, your mirrorless, and your lenses shooting that way, that's going to make a difference and you'll be able to tell by your eye, but on a phone, not so much. The wide 1.6 aperture on the 12 Pro Max, where the 13 Pro has a 1.5 aperture, that difference is so small to tell, you're not going to know. But your biggest difference here, guys, is right here in your ultra wide mode. So your 12 Pro Max has a f2.4 aperture to where your 13 Pro has a 1.8. So that is a big enough difference, guys, where I could actually tell when shooting. You're going to get cleaner images shooting on that 0.5x mode out of this phone than you would out of your 12 Pro Max. And that to me is awesome because everybody loves shooting in that ultra wide mode because it makes your photos look super dramatic and just super over the top. So going through, they all have night mode, deep fusion, Apple Pro RAW. The biggest difference here is the 3x optical zoom, guys. So you can definitely use the 3x. So when I was shooting portraits with both phones, the 3x came in clutch, to where the 12 Pro Max, the 2.5x, just sometimes didn't get me where I needed to be. Now, image quality wise, they were both on par with each other, but just having that extra 0.5x zoom really gave this the upper hand, especially when shooting portraits. And portrait lighting with 6 effects. Now, I will say that the 13 Pro here in the middle has photographic styles, so that's going to be cool for somebody that's trying to get their look in camera. They don't want to do a whole lot of editing in Lightroom, or maybe they don't have Lightroom, or they don't want to do any post editing on their photos. They just want to shoot it with the camera, post to social media. It makes it super easy to get that style and that look that you like. Me personally, I shoot super moody photos. I like shooting for the cooler tones, so if you're like me, they do have the cool tone photographic style in there, and the 12 Pro Max does not have that as an option. 12 Pro Max has HDR3, where the 13 has HDR4. Now, guys, when you look at the video recording modes, that's where a lot of the filmmakers and content creators are really checking these out. I played with this a little bit, but to me, honestly, again, I thought it was going to be a bigger thing to me, but when I actually got the phone in hand, the cinematic mode was sort of gimmicky in a way. I was super stoked on it. You can watch my reaction video, like I said, but it's kind of gimmicky when I actually have it in hand. So the 12 Pro Max on the left side doesn't have any of those options, to where the 13 Pro has cinematic mode for recording videos. It was cool to play with, but then I was actually thinking, unless I'm shooting a film on my iPhone, which probably not going to do. When am I ever going to really use this mode? I'm not really going to rack focus after I take a video. Now it does have the ProRes video recording up to 4K at 30, so at the time of me shooting this test video I didn't have ProRes, so I may make a future video in the coming week testing out the ProRes if I can get it on this phone. They both have 4K, 24, 25, 30, and 60. So the video capabilities here, minus the cinematic mode and the ProRes, are basically on par with each other. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's jump into some side-by-side comparisons of the actual phones and what the photos look like from each phone, because like I said, I think you guys will be surprised how much of a difference there is in between the two. Alright guys, here we are. Now we're in Lightroom, and this is where we're going to look at our photos side by side. I want to give you guys some context of how the scene looked that night when I was shooting all these photos. So essentially, this right here was shot with my Sony mirrorless, and if I hold this down, you'll see the original. This was basically what it looked like with my eyes. So it was dark, it was foggy, it was 5:21 in the evening, and in the States here, it is fall time, so it gets dark early. So to let you know that a lot of these pictures were shot with these small sensors as it was getting dark. So a lot of them were in low light environments, and you'll notice those. But iPhone 13 Pro claims that it is great with its ultra wide lens in low light, as well as both of this photo right here. We're gonna look at the metadata. This is the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and I was just testing out the macro photography capabilities of each phone. So this is an okay picture. It's nothing spectacular. Moss was growing on the side of a wall, so I said let's go ahead and let's try that to see how sharp we can get it. And it is on the wide lens, as close to the moss as I could get with it still being in focus. So the reason I was taking this picture is because the 13 Pro, here's the same photo, has a macro mode on the wide angle lens. So you'll see it automatically do it when you have the wide angle lens open, or the 0.5 lens, the ultra wide, and you get really close to an object, you'll see it automatically go in macro mode. So the iPhone 13 definitely wins in this category in the macro lens photography. So if you're interested in that type of photography and you're on the fence with either phone, you probably want the 13 Pro. Same here. As I was shooting the moss, a millipede happened to sort of start wiggling its way up the wall. And this is with the 12 Pro Max, and this is not a good photo by any means. It is not sharp, it looks mushy, and it is blurry. And all of these settings, like I said, on the iPhones are auto settings, and so had I had this in a manual setting, I would have been shooting faster than 1/60th of a second, which is what the phone put me at, and that would have helped get some of this motion blur out of there of this millipede, even though they're not moving fast. If you're shooting my rule of thumb, under 1/100th of a second, you need to be on a tripod. And if I look at the same photo here, this guy has already moved, but even though the 13 was still shooting at 1/60th of a second, it is a little bit sharper, and I think that is because of that macro mode that it has. It was able to get in there a little bit better and not turn all the detail to mush. So again, macro photography, the 13 Pro wins hands down. Here's these pictures here. So this right here was shot with the 13 Pro. This is a picture of my son. He's checking out this wall. It says protect the planet on it. And I snapped this photo, again, just a candid. And here is the same one shot with the 12 Pro Max. Now the only difference here is the iPhone 13 decided it was going to go at 1/10th of a second, where the iPhone 12 Pro Max decided it was going to stay at 1/85th of a second and be at ISO 320, where the iPhone 13 Pro was going to be at ISO 250. Now I noticed in a couple shots it seems like the iPhone 13 Pro is more prone to lens flares for some odd reason than the 12 Pro Max. If you see here in this right upper corner, you can see this lens flare creeping in. That's what all this blue is, and it essentially sort of ruined the left side of this photo. You can see how mushy this tree is over here. Now, it's still not a bad photo. When I go in here, it's pretty sharp still, but compared to the 12 Pro Max version of it, this is the better version because I don't have that lens flare that is, you know, deteriorating the detail over here, as well as I don't have, you know, loss of detail over here in these trees. So what I want to do real quick, since we're here, I like this photo, let's throw a quick edit on it. I'm going to go into my presets. Guys, if you're into Lightroom presets, I have some awesome ones over on my website, and you'll see some of these here. I have the Essentials preset pack, the Gloom preset pack, the Good Morning preset pack, and the Lost preset bundle. So I normally shoot moodier photos. I love moody mountain shots and moody street photography photos. So that is what we're going to go for here. So I'm going to go straight into my Gloom presets, and I'm going to show you guys some of those. Just as we go down, you'll see some of those, as well as I have some moody ones here in my Good Morning preset pack as well. So I like using this Deadman preset right here, and that is going to get me 90% of the way of where I want to be for my moody shot. So if I was going to do that, real quick editing on this, guys, there's before, there's the after, and then I could even go in and I could brighten up his orange hoodie if I wanted to, but to me that's pretty good for an iPhone shot. So just to let you know, iPhone pictures do hold up. If you want to know what it looks like on the 13, let's go here, copy settings, let's go back over to the 13 Pro shot, and we're just going to paste the same exact settings we did, and it still looks good. I mean, I have that lens flare in there still. I could probably selectively edit that out and darken that lens flare out of there, but it's not really that bad. It's not really that noticeable. This over here is more noticeable how it's, you know, deteriorating the detail in those trees. Here's another picture right here where you can see a prevalent lens flare in the top right corner. This is taken with the iPhone 13. You can see over here 1/60th of a second, top right corner, and right here is the same picture shot with the iPhone 12 at 1/60th of a second. You can see it over here in the metadata. So for some reason that iPhone 13 is more prone to lens flares, or at least the phone I have was. Right here, so this is a good indicator. You'll see this in the video as well of the portrait. Like I said, these were not planned shoots. This is a very candid shot. I told my wife, I said, hey, stand over there and let me test out this camera real quick. So this right here is the iPhone 12 Pro Max, which will only shoot in 2.5x on its regular camera. And same placement right here. This is the iPhone 13 Pro with the 3x. So again, for portraits, if you don't like using the portrait mode and you like using the standard camera, the iPhone 13 Pro wins hands down. So how would I edit this if I was making this moody? Guys, you need my preset pack right here. I'm going to go to my Good Morning preset pack. Boom, right there. Look at that. Look how simple that got you 98% of the way there. And that right there, super moody. And the detail is there. So let's copy these settings over to the 12 Pro just to see what it would look like, even though this is a farther away shot, because you could do this same thing. You could go in, you could crop this in if you wanted to and make it look just pretty dang close. Pretty dang close to that 13 Pro shot, right? It's pretty close. I mean, I could get that crop just right if I continued to mess with it. But not to waste your time, let's go to a different photo. So both cameras look great. It's just one exceeds a little bit better doing certain things than the other. Here's what I want you to look at. So right here, the iPhone 13 Pro. Some reason it was shooting a lot cooler tint than my iPhone 12, and like I said, I wasn't using any photo styles. It was just straight out of the box. You can see how blue this looks compared to 12 Pro Max and then my 13 Pro, right? 1.4 millimeter lens, 1.57 millimeter lens. So you're getting just a little bit more with the 13 Pro, but you can see how much cooler that looks than that one. Now, if you're going to edit this, make it moody, again, hit that preset, Dead Men, or you can use one of my many other presets here, and you can give it a nice moody look. There are great cameras, they just have some of, you know, the limitations. If you shoot with them often, especially Apple products, then you know that they make a great product, but a lot of their claims are very brash, very out there. Like, I would not say either one of these are great in low light, even in the night mode. So this, for example, this is the same scene. This is with the 3X camera. It is, there's no detail back in here because it was low light. So all the detail in the trees look like mush. So what you would have to do if you were gonna use this photo is you could go through and you could sharpen everything up. Or you could buy my Essentials preset pack, hit it with the HDR, it tightens everything up, it sharpens it, and then we would go through, and then, I mean, you could throw another preset over the top of that if you wanted to make it moody, and then you could mess with that all day, and you could see, now that's sort of acceptable. It's acceptable for stories, it's acceptable to just, it's a throwaway photo because it wasn't good to begin with, but it looks way better. So the last photo I want to look at, guys, is this one here. This is the 12 Pro Max. If you look at this, you can see it's way warmer. Look at the grass here on the right side. Right here, look how green. Then if we go to the 13 Pro, you can see the difference. I mean, look how much cooler this is. If you look at the sky, you look at this grass back here, like the dead grass, versus the grass in this one, it is a lot more brown here. So again, for some reason, the 13 Pro was shooting a lot cooler, but both of these are pretty good. There's some noise in both of these, and this was at 6:51 p.m., so it was a lot darker than this actually makes it look. And when I say these aren't good in low light, what I mean is they take decent pictures, but if you look at this, look how much noise is in, you know, the photo. You would have to do a lot of post-processing in order to blow this up any bigger than, you know, the size of this iPad here. But, you know, if you wanted to, you could go in, you could edit this, make this look super neat, and do all kinds of things to it. And the footage is going to hold up. You could even go through and get rid of some of that noise. But yeah, so that's essentially what this would look like if I was to post this on like a 2.5 minute edit. But doesn't look nearly as bad after we, you know, went through and edited it a little bit. So, but yeah, guys, that's basically it. Like both cameras shoot really well, but which one is better in my opinion? I would say that I am fully content with the 12 Pro over the 13. Now the 13 is a great phone, but I think that the 12 Pro, if you're going to shoot extensively with the phone, whether it's Apple or whatever, go with a bigger phone like the Max. Even though they make the 13 Pro and Max, just in general, go with a bigger phone, easier to hold while you're out there shooting. Also, to me, like, the 13 Pro doesn't have that many pros. The differences aren't that big to want to upgrade as my daily driver. Since I already know the limitations of the 12 Pro Max, I think this is where I'm going to stay. I'm completely content. But if you guys are interested in a full-on Lightroom tutorial of how I edit my photos, I would be more than happy to give that to you guys. Just put it down in the comments. But let's move through this video and get to our final thoughts. Alright guys, welcome back. So what did you think about that camera deathmatch? Do you think that the difference between these two phones are big enough? Now, me personally, I feel like this phone outperforms the 12 Pro Max in a couple different areas. Like I said, I think for shooting portraits, this phone definitely outperforms this just because of that 3X mode. That does make a big enough difference for me. I do love shooting portraits. as well as the ultra wide having a f1.8 aperture on the 13 versus the 2.4 aperture on the 12. It's definitely going to give you cleaner ultra wide shots, which I love that ultra wide mode. But I will say that I do love the 12 Pro Max, even though it has some limitations to the camera that the 13 Pro doesn't have. I've learned to shoot with those limitations. If it was me and I was recommending somebody upgrading from like an iPhone 10, iPhone 11 or something like that, I would say maybe go for the 13. But I think as of right now, I think that the iPhone 12 Pro Max is probably Apple's best phone. This right here, like I said, does everything I need it to do. So I'm staying 12 Pro Max for now. But like I said, guys, looking at the photos head to head, which one do you think won? Do you think they're basically look the same, or do you think one really outperformed the other? And last thing, guys, if you like the presets I was using in this video, you can head over to my website at www.drewxcifer.com. The link is in the description down there. Just click on that and go pick up that preset pack for $1. You will get 10 awesome presets that will give you that instant moody film look that I shoot in and that I love to apply to my photos. It will get you 98% of the way there. Throw a couple tweaks on your photos and they will be perfect. So you can have all that for $1, as well as some gnarly merch over there at my website. Other than that, guys, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up and make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to hit that 1K subscriber mark by the end of the year. Other than that, remember, guys, stay rad, just go shoot, and I'll catch you on the next one.